Adam made love to his wife. By the way, the word for love here is literally making sex. And the word is yada in Hebrew. Yada means knowing someone. But it's talking about, it has a sexual connotation to it. Okay? So Adam made love to his wife, Eve, and she became pregnant and gave birth to Cain. She said, "With the help of the Lord, I have brought forth a man." And later she gave birth to his brother Abel. Now this comment she's making, with the help of the Lord, I have brought forth a man. I mean, when we just read it, matter of factly, it just means that, she's making a comment. Thank you, Lord, for helping me to have this child. But there's more to it than that. Because later, in verses 25 and 26, it says, Adam made love to his wife again, and she gave birth to a son and named him Seth. Saying, okay, so it's a very similar pattern, right? As what we see in verses 1 and 2. But this time she says, God has granted me another child in place of Abel, since Cain killed him. Seth also had a son, and he named him Enosh. At that time, people began to call on the name of the Lord. So there's something that is more godly in this second round. In Eve's comment that she has made. Okay? Then the first time she's making this comment. So some scholars have pointed out these two comments are different. It mentions the Lord, but it's a different type of comment. What are the differences here, do you see? Do you see any problem with Eve saying, with the help of the Lord, I have brought forth a man? But can you dramatize a little bit? And there's a little variation. You can say, with the help of the Lord, I have brought forth a man. Or, with the help of the Lord, I have brought forth a man. Which one do you think it is? No, I'm not saying that she would talk like that. I'm just saying when you read this, there's certain type of intonation underlying this. You don't just read it.
그러니까 첫 번째는 좀 I, 내가 I 이러고 두 번째 God granted 이것도 좀
Right.
다른 것 같은데.
Right, exactly. The subject is 여기는 자기가 주어가 되고 자기가 main person, and God just happens to help me to accomplish my mission of bringing forth a child, right? 그럼 두 번째는 totally different attitude. God has granted me another child in place of Abel. It's God. God has granted this. God is doing this. Okay, so I guess the question that I want to ask is, what was the problem with Eve in Genesis chapter 3? That we see something very similar happening here in chapter 4 as well. Eve의 problem이 뭐냐고.
그러니까 자기가 결정하고 자기가 좀 세널 때는 그런 거 아닌가요? 그 선악과를 따기로도 결정할 때
Right.
자기가 결정하는 거예요.
그렇지, 자기가 결정을 하고.
네.
Okay. 그러니까 그 self-will이 상당히 강하잖아, 이브가, right? So actually more than Adam, if you think about it. It seems like Eve is the dominant personality here. She's the one who encounters the serpent, right? She's the one who gets the fruit, and she's the one who gives it to her husband, right? It's something like Adam's just kind of participating, but he's not the initiator in this. And 여기도 마찬가지예요. Adam에 대해서는 나오지 않지만, except that he had a sexual relationship with his wife, but it was she who gave birth to Cain, and then she says, with the help of the Lord, I have brought forth a man. Why do you think she was so determined to make this kind of statement? I have brought forth a man. Well, the important thing here is not so much what Eve literally said it or not. It's the author of the Pentateuch. If it's Moses,
Also,
or
even in this
yeah,
sentence,
he's
어떤 intention
yeah
있다는
he's
거구나.
he's writing this in such a way to make a point.
I see.
Yeah, remember from the very beginning we said it's the author's intent. We're trying to understand the message that he has for us by telling this story in such a way. Okay, and it's the same thing with Cain and Abel too. And I want to point out it has to do with the author's intent in articulating such a way that we're trying to get at. Okay. So it seems like Eve has a lot of herself in this, right? I have brought forth a man. Why is she so adamant about bringing forth a man? What happened in chapter 3? After she was defeated by Satan, and God still makes a promise to her that her seed is going to one day crush the head of the serpent. The seed is important for her, right? Her redemption is through the seed. The woman's redemption is through the seed. On one hand, you might say, it's not the husband, but it's the children who are going to be the hope for Eve. Right? I don't know if you've ever thought about that regarding your marriage or with sibling. Sometimes, when you feel defeated in the first round or second round of your own venture in life and ministry, somewhere down the line you start now investing in your children. And we should, no doubt about that. But something about Eve's determination to now redeem her situation through a son. But then what happens? We know the story that 2 sons she had and 1 son kills the other. This is a tragedy, right? But even that gets redeemed because she has another child to replace Abel. And this second time around, she says, now God has granted me another child in place of Abel. What lesson can we learn from this? Or am I reading too much into this? I didn't even notice this until I started reading the scholars and their commentaries. They're the ones who are pointing out that there is a difference. Grammatically, there's difference, and the word terms difference. And as Mijin pointed out, first case was a man, second case was a child. I think that's pretty significant too. Could it be that maybe she's saying, I cannot put confidence on my man, Adam, but my son, he's going to be the man in my life, and he's going to be the one that I'm going to place my hope on. But then the story goes that he really botches it. And he murders his own younger brother. Okay, maybe I'm putting too much into this. Maybe you guys have to read it on your own. But I just wanted to point that out to kind of prepare the way for the main character, Cain.